You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Struggling to keep up with the demands of managing and securing identity in your distributed enterprise IT environment? You're not alone, but don't let it hold you back. With Strata's identity orchestration platform, you can secure all your apps on any cloud with any IDP, so your IT teams will never have to refactor for identity again. Imagine modernizing app identity in minutes instead of months, deploying passwordless on any tricky old app, and achieving business resilience with always-on identity, all from one lightweight and flexible platform. Want to see it in action? Share your identity challenge with Strata on a discovery call, and they'll hook you up with a complimentary pair of AirPods Pro. So don't miss out. Visit strata.io/cyberwire. That's strata.io/cyberwire. New ransomware exploits a VMware ESXi vulnerability. Roasted octopus squads up. LockBit says Ion paid the ransom. Russian cyber auxiliaries continue attacks against healthcare organizations. Attribution on the Charlie Hebdo attack. Deep into Psy from Zscaler describes recent activity by Ducktail malware. Rick Howard looks at cyber threat intelligence. And the top U.S. cyber diplomat says his Twitter account was hacked. From the CyberWire studios at Data Tribe, I'm Dave Bittner with your CyberWire summary for Monday, February 6th, 2023. France's Computer Emergency Response Team, that's CERT-FR, and Italy's National Cybersecurity Agency have both warned of a widespread ransomware campaign that is exploiting a vulnerability in VMware ESXi servers. The ransomware is exploiting CVE 2021-21974, which VMware patched in February 2021. BleepingComputer says at least 3,200 servers around the world have been infected. CERT-FR recommends that organizations apply all patches for ESXi hypervisors and also verify that their systems haven't already been compromised. The ransomware appears to be based on Babuk source code. TechCrunch reports that the threat actor known as Octopus is now targeting the technology and video game sectors. The threat actor compromised more than 130 organizations last year using simple phishing kits. According to a report obtained by TechCrunch, Octopus is launching phishing attacks against video game companies, as well as business process outsourcing companies and cellular providers. Some of the targeted companies are said to include Roblox, Zynga, MailChimp, Intuit, Salesforce, Comcast, and Grubhub. Group IB published an extensive report on Octopus last August. Indeed, they're the ones who declared it roasted. The researchers say the criminal group combined simplicity with sophistication, and its tentacles were groping at credentials. TechCrunch reports a consensus among researchers that Octopus is the same group known elsewhere as Scattered Spider. The UK-based Ion trading group, hit by a LockBit-claimed ransomware attack that began on Tuesday, has reportedly paid the ransom asked of them by the threat group, Bloomberg reported Friday. Bloomberg News cites a LockBit group representative who told them that the ransom was paid and that the gang provided a decryption key to unlock the compromised computers. The person or entity behind the ransom payment, as well as the monetary amount, was not disclosed to the outlet. Reuters said last week that the attack could take days to fix, though if the group representative is reliable, the decryption key provided may expedite the process. The United States FBI has begun their own search for information on the attack, in addition to UK regulators conducting individual investigations, Bloomberg wrote Friday. MedCity News last week put the total number of U.S. healthcare facilities affected by KillNet DDoS attacks at least 17. While much of the activity has remained at nuisance level, that hasn't been the case with all of it. Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare in the U.S. state of Florida took its IT systems offline Friday and suspended emergency medical services, diverting most such patients to other hospitals. It announced that for the time being, it would only accept Level 1 traumas from its immediate service area. The hospital said in its updates on the incident, "We are safely caring for all patients currently in our hospital, and we are not moving patients to other facilities. However, we have rescheduled non-emergency patient appointments. Patients will be contacted directly by their provider and/or care facility if their appointment is affected." The record observes that attribution to Russian auxiliaries is still circumstantial, but it seems nonetheless fairly clear. The attack on Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare comes just one day after a group of pro-Russian hackers announced DDoS attacks on hospitals in at least 25 U.S. states, knocking several offline for hours. The Russian cyber auxiliaries appear to have ready access to commodity criminal DDoS tools, notably the Passion botnet described last week by Radware, who stated, "Passion Group, affiliated with KillNet and Anonymous Russia, recently began offering DDoS as a service to pro-Russian hacktivists. The Passion botnet was leveraged during the attacks on January 27th, targeting medical institutions in the USA, Portugal, Spain, Germany, Poland, Finland, Norway, Netherlands, and the United Kingdom as retaliation for sending tanks in support of Ukraine." Charlie Hebdo, the well-known French weekly satirical magazine, was hit with a cyber attack that saw customer data stolen and leaked, Reuters reported Friday. Microsoft researchers are attributing the activity to the Iranian threat group Neptunium, which appears as Eminet Pasargad in the U.S. State Department's Rewards for Justice program. Security Affairs wrote yesterday that the group claimed in early January to have stolen the personal data of over 200,000 Charlie Hebdo customers, sharing a data sample that included the full names, telephone numbers, and home and email addresses of people who'd either subscribed to or purchased something from the magazine. Microsoft says that the data was offered for sale at the price of 20 Bitcoin, or approximately $340,000 at Friday's exchange rates. The Rewards for Justice description of Eminet Pasargad explains that the outfit is a contractor, an Iranian company that's done business under a variety of names. It earned its place of dishonor in the Rewards for Justice program through its unsuccessful attempts to influence the 2020 U.S. elections. But the State Department says they're not just ordinary trolls hanging out under some bridge in St. Petersburg. Eminet Pasargad, state says, poses a broader cybersecurity threat outside of information operations. Since 2018, Eminet has conducted traditional cyber exploitation activity targeting several sectors, including news, shipping, travel, oil and petrochemical, financial, and telecommunications in the United States, Europe, and the Middle East. There's a reward of up to 10 million Yankee dollars for information on the group. If you'd like to drop a dime on them, you can do so on the State Department's special Tor site. And finally, Nate Fick, U.S. Ambassador at Large for Cyber and head of the State Department's Bureau of Cyberspace and Digital Policy, tweeted Saturday, "My account has been hacked. Perils of the job." What he means by hacked isn't further specified. In any case, the hacked account is a personal one the ambassador uses for posts about weather, mountain biking, and backcountry skiing, which probably accounts for the refreshing shrug-off. Ambassador Fick communicates officially through an official account at State CDP, and that's a good practice. Coming up after the break, Deepan Desai from Zscaler describes recent activity by Ducktail malware. Rick Howard looks at cyber threat intelligence. Stay with us. Hey everybody, Dave here. Are your sales and marketing teams tasked with ever-growing brand awareness and lead gen goals? The CyberWire is a great way to put your message into the ear of decision makers across cyber and help fill your funnel. We have great sponsorship opportunities available, but we're filling up fast. Contact our team now to learn more about how sponsorship of the CyberWire can help build your business at thecyberwire.com/sponsor. This episode is sponsored in part by CrowdSec. Get contextualized and actionable cyber threat intelligence fed directly to your Cortex XSOAR platform with the CrowdSec integration, now available in the Cortex marketplace. By combining CrowdSec and the power of Palo Alto Network's tools, your SOC team can avoid background noise from the internet and reduce the volume of alerts. Have more oversight and information on the attacker to make swift decisions on dismantling them. Create a more informed path to remediation and efficient processes, and much, much more. CrowdSec complements XSOAR's robust solution by including a layer of security and additional vertical context. But best of all, it gives you the data needed to free up time and resources. Visit crowdsec.net to learn more. And joining me once again is Rick Howard. He is the CyberWire's Chief Security Officer and also our Chief Analyst. Rick, it's always great to welcome you back.
Hey, Dave.
So your CSO Perspectives show is in the middle of your 12th season, which is unbelievable to me, especially since the CyberWire has only been around for 7 years. So you seem to be running at warp speed over there.
We talked about this last week. This is dog years. That's how we count these seasons in CSO Perspectives. Okay.
Fair enough. Well, so far this year, or this season, I should say, you've been talking about some great stuff. And what is on your docket for this week?
So back in season 1, when we first started the show, we did an episode on cyber threat intelligence operations, or CTI, and it was one of our most listened to shows, so I really liked that one.
Yeah, I remember that one. You were talking about the intelligence life cycle, if memory serves me, which is that's the mechanics of how you collect intelligence. Now, didn't you say that was invented by the U.S. military during and around World War II?
Yeah, that's right. They kind of invented the formal process after the war, when intelligence officers tried to explain what they did during the war. So, kind of, here's what we did. Yeah, that sounds good. But, the whole operation stuck. But it's been 2 years since that episode, and I was just thinking it was time for an update. And I got a call from Landon Winklevoss before the holiday break. He's the co-founder and VP of content at Nisos. They're a commercial intelligence firm. And he thought it would be interesting to explore how the corporate world is systematically using their intelligence teams to help the business. So I grabbed Landon for a deep dive conversation about the current state of cyber threat intelligence in the commercial world.
All right. Well, that is the CyberWire Pro side. What are you pulling out of the CSO Perspectives archives this week for the public side?
So last week we pulled an episode about single sign-on, and so this week it made sense that we would couple that episode with a topic in the same general category, identity, kind of a double feature, if you will, right? So this week we're pulling an episode from May of 2002 about two-factor authentication.
When I listened to that show last year, I really had no idea there were so many different ways to do two-factor authentication. And, with all things security, there's always that trade-off between the ease of use and the degree of security.
Yeah, I didn't know all that stuff either until we did a deep dive on it. And we ended up covering several authentication methods in detail. We cover SMS, email, authenticator software tokens, push tokens, and the latest entry into the field, universal second factor, or UTF it's called.
Well, before I let you go, what do you have for us this week on your Word Notes podcast?
So this week, the word is man in the middle.
Well,
I know you're familiar with that, Dave. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Because some things never go away. And we think that the first documented use of a cyber man in the middle attack was sometime in the early 1980s. So on this show, we explain what it is, and we even demonstrate its use from one of my favorite hacker movies, War Games.
All right. Well, we will look forward to that. Once again, Rick Howard is the host of the CSO Perspectives podcast on CyberWire Pro. He is also our Chief Security Officer and Chief Analyst. Rick Howard, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
And joining me once again is Deepan Desai. He is the Global CISO and Head of Security Research and Operations at Zscaler. Deepan, it's always a pleasure to welcome you back to the show. I want to touch today on the Ducktail Info Stealer, which I understand you and your colleagues have been keeping an eye on lately. There's a new variant that you all are tracking?
Yes. Thank you, Dave. So Ducktail, a very interesting info stealing malware. So just to give you guys a background, Threat Labs team tracks dozens of different info stealer families. So there's a group of researchers under Threat Labs that are tracking changes in this threat landscape, where how the threat actors are evolving their tactics, tool tactics, and procedures to steal a variety of information. So as part of that tracking activity, we came across a new variant of Ducktail Info Stealer, and that is being actively distributed by pretending to be a cracked software. Nothing new over there. Like we've seen other families leverage that tactic before as well. It includes a variety of applications like gaming apps or Microsoft Office application. We saw Telegram and some of the other popular apps as well being used by the gang.
So someone's looking to get themselves a cracked version of software and they get a little more than they were counting on.
Exactly.
And so what exactly does Ducktail go after? Is it just a pretty broad info stealer?
Yeah, so just some background. I mean, Ducktail is not net new. I mean, they've been around since at least 2021, and it's attributed to a Vietnamese threat group. The campaigns that the team has tracked since last year were all focused on taking over Facebook business accounts, right? And the intent over there is to either manipulate the page or to access the financial information, and the goal is to steal data and commit financial fraud over there. The earlier versions that we saw were written using .NET Core, which is the Microsoft open source version of .NET. And they were leveraging Telegram with that one to perform CNC activity and exfiltrate data, right? The data that gets stolen after the account hijacking. In August 2022, Zscaler Threat Labs team saw a new campaign consisting of the Info Stealer, which is in PHP version. And again, it's still aiming to exfiltrate sensitive data, but it will target a little bit broad. I mean, it will look at things saved in the browser, so saved credentials in web browser, specifically targeting Facebook account information. But rather than going after just Facebook business accounts, now and they're targeting a broader consumer base as well.
And how exactly are they going after people on Facebook? Are they going after their credentials?
Yeah, the goal over here is with the payload that I spoke about. So folks who are looking for cracked or free version of the software will download a payload that is basically this malware that will then run on the system, look for saved credentials, which includes Facebook, business accounts, right? And the credentials get stolen. The threat actor is able to establish access to the page, make changes. They're able to access even the financial information related to the business account and get access to basically steal that part as well to perform financial fraud.
Deepan, usually when we talk about these things, I ask you, what folks can do to help protect themselves. I suppose in this case, we lead off with don't download cracked software.
Absolutely, yes. Don't look for free versions of licensed software.
Right. But suppose I'm running an organization here and one of my users does this. Are there things that I should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I mean, look, in this case, you need to have a strategy in place that users will make a mistake. They will click on those links. They will download, at times, suspicious payload. So this is where your cloud sandboxing solution plays a very important role, because many of these payloads are packaged near real time when the user clicks on the link and tries to download them. Now, not downplaying the fact that the inline engines, whether it's the IPS engine, your scanning engines, all of those play a very important role in blocking things that are known bad. But when the payloads are being packaged near real time, you also need to have a sandboxing solution that's able to detonate the payload, monitor the behavior, and convict the file based on activity it performs. The other piece that I would always encourage is to include some of these scenarios in your employee awareness training as well. It's important to make the employees aware that, hey, in your quest for downloading that free version of the software, there's so many of these cases where you're inadvertently downloading a malware file that can cause a lot of harm, not just to their individual system, but to the business overall.
All right. Well, Deep and Desai, thanks so much for joining us. Funding for this CyberWire podcast is made possible by RSA Conference, where the world talks security. Through global events and year-round content, RSAC connects you to cybersecurity leaders and cutting-edge ideas for a safer, more secure future. Learn more at rsaconference.com/cyberwire23. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. Don't forget to check out the Grumpy Old Geeks podcast, where I contribute to a regular segment called Security. I join Jason and Brian on their show for a lively discussion of the latest security news every week. You can find Grumpy Old Geeks where all the fine podcasts are listed. The CyberWire podcast is a production of N2K Networks, proudly produced in Maryland out of the startup studios of Data Tribe, where they're co-building the next generation of cybersecurity teams and technologies. This episode was produced by Liz Irvin and senior producer Jennifer Iben. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music by Elliot Peltzman. The show was written by John Petrick. Our executive editor is Peter Kilpie, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Funding for this CyberWire podcast is made possible by RSA Conference, where the world talks security. Through global events and year-round content, RSAC connects you to cybersecurity leaders and cutting-edge ideas for a safer, more secure future. Learn more at rsaconference.com/cyberwire23.